Good afternoon. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. It's 2 o'clock, and this is our Westchester coronavirus update. We have our usual statistical information for both the people from the press who are watching and anybody in the public who's watching. We have statistics from New York State that indicate that 30,240 individuals have tested positive for COVID in the aggregate here in Westchester County. That number is up slightly over yesterday, 143 additional cases gone positive. However, those who have gone through the 2-week period of time is greater in increase than that. So we're now down to 5,584 active cases. And that compares roughly 3 weeks to a month ago, we were at 11,000 active cases. So we've cut that number of active cases down in half over the course of the last 3 weeks to a month. That is a good sign. We've had an uptick today in hospitalizations due to COVID. We have been steadily decreasing for 3 weeks. And today's number comes in at 716 individuals that are hospitalized. That is up almost over 50 from last night. So there was a spike. It is an unusual spike. We'll see in the next few days if that continues to be a new trend or if not. But in the case of what we're looking at, the steady decrease in hospitalizations have been really in effect since just about the 1st of April. So this is the first time we've seen an uptick, and we'll see what it may relate to over multiple number of days. A number of deaths rose by 15 individuals. This is the fifth straight day that we've had under 20 fatalities overnight. Every fatality is a tragedy. No fatality is to be turned into a statistic. But we've had nights going back to the peak period of time where we lost 40 to 50 people a night. So obviously the less that we lose, the better off we feel that we are in protecting that many more lives. Our fatality rate is 3.7%, and that is a coefficient of how many people have died out of the total number of people that have contracted the disease. And our hospitalization rate is 12.8%, and that's on the highest it's been in a while with that uptick in hospitalization. And that is a factor of how many people are hospitalized against how many active cases do we have. You have an active case, how many of those active folks are hospitalized? How many of the total cases have we lost to fatalities? They're different metrics, but they do give us an insight into where we are. We are still on the downside of the slope. We have flattened the curve, and now we're working back down. We're not dropping as steeply as we rose. If you go back to those weeks in March, when this first came to full force, we rose very dramatically day over day over day in the number of infections. Now we'll see what happens as we start to get the data from the various nursing homes. The state has given us authority a few days ago to begin COVID testing inside nursing homes. We've begun that process. It is a long process to get into each of the different nursing homes, assisted living facilities in Westchester, and test all the individuals. And that might give us an uptick in the number of reported positive cases. But we'd rather know what the universe is of people that have been affected and then try to deal with them, because real mission here, the only statistic that really matters, is the number of deaths. And we'd like to limit that as much as we can in terms of what's within our authority and power here within the context of our medical healthcare professionals. Even with the hospitalization rate of 716 people, that is well below the 3,000 beds that we have available in the county and the number of ICU beds that are available in the county. And so we continue to be in some positive numbers along those lines. But we're tracking this every day. We are clearly less impacted by this than Nassau and Suffolk and New York City. If you recall, way back 2 months ago, we were out of the box first with the highest numbers, but all of those things have turned and changed. We do have antibody testing going on now at the county center. It's targeted to first responders. We're going through the antibody testing now for representatives from the first responders of the county government, county police, correction officers, probation officers, ultimately emergency services department and health department individuals. And then we will be in touch and working out a schedule with local municipal departments, police, fire, EMS, whatever they deem to be those essential employees. That is happening right now at the county center, which has been fitted out as a medical facility, which includes beds available should we spike in the number of people that need hospitalization and exceed the existing bed capacity of our area. We are also looking at the issue of contact tracing, which is a very big issue, and it's been tied by the governor to reopening the society, that we go through an effort that is really pretty elaborate, where you contact and trace back the contacts that a person who's test positive has. We began this process when we first had the first 1 and 2 and 3 cases of COVID in Westchester County. But now that we're dealing with, even active 5,500 cases, that's a lot of people to have to track, and all of the contacts they've had. So you go through your day, who did I meet if I stopped by a place to pick up a cup of coffee? Who do I work with? Who did I see during the lunchtime hour? Did I go to my bank? Did I interact with a particular teller? After hours, with whom did I connect with, and what kind of conversations, and what kind of circumstances, so that you can make a long list of those people and then track each of those individuals to track to see how the virus is expanding. There are 3 kinds of jobs in this world: contact tracers, community support specialists, and team supervisors. Each of them have a different and distinct function. And there is a website and a state information page on their coronavirus category, which says, get involved, how can you help? We'll give some information for those who may be interested in signing up to serve in one of these roles. We know we have a lot of unemployment going on right now, and this might be an option for people. The County Westchester, is not doing the hiring. There's a recruiting company, Public Consulting Group, which is screening candidates. John Hopkins is testing some applicants, and Vital Strategies as an organization is actually doing the hiring. And that's all done through the state of New York, not through the county. So don't call the county, don't email us, or go on Facebook. How do I get a job? You've got to work through the county, the state government. And I would highlight, go on to the New York State Department of Health, coronavirus.health.ny.gov. Get involved, how you can help, and the information should be available there. New York State plans to hire a team of 6,400 people to staff all across the state. That's the minimum number. It could be as high as 17,000, depending on the number of projected COVID cases. And that'll support the New York State Department of Health and any of our local health departments, in our case, the county health department, to perform contact tracing in communities across the state. Very important function, and the governor's identified that doing the contact tracing, along with a reduction in hospitalizations, a reduction in the number of deaths, all of these things are necessary in order for the governor to consider lifting the ban on business activity within a particular region. Westchester County is in an interesting spot because we're just outside of New York City, but we're not New York City. We're sort of the beginning of the region that's north of us and upstate, but we're much more densely populated than the counties to the north and west of us. So we have sort of a unique position in the middle, and we're going to work with the state to determine whether the metrics for Westchester work, and when and if we've hit those magic numbers, distinct from what happens in New York City and distinct what happens in the rest of the Hudson Valley. But those are the challenges of contact tracing that is yet ahead of us. We have an initiative this time of the year that we hope will be a helpful thing. This is more about trying to keep your sanity during this period where everything is disrupted. We're hosting a virtual graduation ceremony for high school seniors. We're going to do that with people recording a short congratulatory video, and that is going to help by putting it out there for people to share on social media network. The various high school seniors will hear words of praise from those of us in the community. And if you'd like to participate and you have a video, you can send it to communications@westchestergov.com, communications@westchestergov.com. And we'll be happy as we pull this all together to include your thoughts. United States Senator Chuck Schumer has participated in this, and we have many other individuals who have. We think it'll be a nice thing to do, given the fact that the 2020 graduation year will be unlike any other year ever, and will affect a lot of longtime traditions like senior proms and the actual graduation ceremonies. We hope this will be a step in the right direction. There is a role for these things. It is not the main role of what government does, but we think it's a helpful role as part of that. We've also joined forces with the Westchester County Hispanic Advisory Board, celebrating today being Cinco de Mayo, the 5th of May, and to promote takeout eating for our various Latino restaurants in the county. I mean, that Cinco de Mayo represents a Mexican important date on their calendar, a date of liberation and freedom. The industry in general for Mexican and other restaurants are hurting, as are all of our restaurants. And so we're certainly trying to do what we can to promote takeout, which is still legal and appropriate, takeout food at these various restaurants. If you go on the social media channels or westchestercatalyst.com, that's our economic development engine, you'll get a list of some of those restaurants that provide that. And on this day, we can celebrate, as we do celebrate on St. Patrick's Day, on Columbus Day, on a host of other key days. We have Black History Month and Women's History Month, and things that celebrate the various mosaics in our society that all add together to create the overall Westchester society. But for today's purposes, Cinco de Mayo is today, May 5th, and hopefully you'll find that you can participate and do something along those lines. We also have a program we're going to roll out and complete tomorrow, Ribbons of Remembrance. It's our way of opening the door for families to remember those that they've lost through the COVID outbreak. We've reached 1,116 fatalities in the county. That is a lot of our neighbors and friends to have lost in such a short period of time. I just spent some time earlier today. They had out on Mamaroneck Avenue in the city of White Plains, McMahon Funeral Home had a service to say goodbye to Ed Sioka, who was deputy fire chief in White Plains, beloved man. And the White Plains Fire Department and Police Department came out for that moment. Everyone's wearing masks. Everybody's 6 feet apart, following the rules, but still saying goodbye. They brought, Ed's flag-covered coffin out so that it would be in our presence, and we gave our best to his family in this difficult moment. And for all of the people who've lost loved ones, we grieve with you. It isn't enough for us to just talk about we're going to do this and we're going to do that. We're going to get our economy going and all those things. You've got to talk about the loss of life and how that means to people. It's a human situation. I've lost at various times, both of my parents. Anybody in my age category pretty much has had that sadness reach their doorstep, and you grieve. It's a natural human emotion. You go on with your life. You do the things you have to do every day, but you miss this important person who was so much a part of your life. And if you think back years ago, when they were the dominant portion of your life. So to lose a father, to lose a loved one, as we've been losing every day in Westchester County, even on a day of relatively small number of fatalities, there's still 15 or 16 families that are ripped apart by the loss of grandpa, the loss of, your cousin or somebody that's close to you. And we want to be able to connect with that. And so tomorrow we'll talk about what that connection looks like and how that will help. We are continuing to work through the testing module for COVID in our various nursing homes. It's a massive task. We negotiated with the state and got the authority to do that starting yesterday. We'll have a status report for you before the end of the week. It's a little early yet to go day by day, but we'll let you know what comes out of it. Obviously, we're deeply concerned that nursing homes and senior assisted living facilities or senior subsidized housing may become a very dramatic source of the contagion spread. And even as we talk about things like opening a park or a golf course, the concentration of people of a certain age, people with other illnesses at hand, can be found in almost all of our nursing homes and our senior assisted facilities. So we're going to hopefully add to the equation by testing and verifying and isolating and protecting the lives of as many of those seniors as we can. And as the governor releases statistics fully, we'll be able to show you what the interface is within Westchester County's nursing homes about the people that we've lost, so that we can try to be on top of that. With that, we've covered really just a few basic items that we wanted to cover. Our final comment to make is regarding Census 2020. As we are getting through now the first week in the month of May, we're tracking how we're doing on census. For the first 2 months, the only way that you could file was online or over the telephone. And the online registrations, first time was offered in the history of the census, and it really has gotten us off to a very good start. The county is at 57.1% of compliance, and compliance is all of the household units that have been identified in the county. If you identify 100% of the units, then what number of them have filed for census purposes? 57.1 right now. Now, 10 years ago, when we did this, we were in the 60 percentile range, but ideally we'd like to be in the 100 percentile range, or certainly in the high 90s, in order to properly reflect what our population is. So we're ahead of a number of counties out there: Rockland, Suffolk, Dutchess, Orange, Staten Island, Manhattan, Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, all of which have a lesser result than we do. On the other hand, Fairfield, Nassau, Bergen, and Putnam counties are all ahead of us by some degree or not. And each of the communities have been broken down as to how far they've come. And we want to congratulate the village of Croton-on-Hudson. They're the first community to get a percentage that exceeds what they did in all of the 2010 census. So they're actually ahead of the game. Lewisboro is not far away from that distinction as well. And we think over time there's going to be a good number of communities that will exceed the percentage participation from 10 years ago. We're looking for 100% everywhere, but we certainly want to show steps in progress. And Croton-on-Hudson made that accomplishment in the last day or two. Lewisboro is very close, to exceeding their 2010 numbers. We know they're in a competition with Bedford, friendly competition. And we hope that everybody is able to exceed those numbers. And this, along with many other functions of county government, continue on, even as we focus in a very targeted way for the coronavirus issues. With that, I'm going to thank you for watching. We're going to go to questions. I think we have at least one out there from our press. Catherine Chaffee is off mic, but she'll tell us what we have out there, Catherine.
Sure. So the first question comes from the Patch. They would like to know the state's guidelines on opening. Has Westchester hit any of them? Will it take months?
Well, we're just evaluating what those guidelines are. We saw them yesterday for the first time, and we're going through them to try to match up. A couple of the calculations require some knowledge of what's happening on the ground more than what we've accumulated. We have satisfied a number of their goals. We've had a steady diminution in the total number of active cases. Up until today, we had a steady diminution of the number of hospitalizations, which was a positive. And the ratio of deaths is slowing. And those are all things to be tracked against the goal. One of the goals involves contact tracing, which we are in the process of gearing up. So I think when the governor said earlier today that no county was fully compliant with the rules, that would be correct. I think we're reasonably well positioned. And we certainly want to do the right thing for the right thing's sake, not just as a reason to open up the county. But if we truly have gotten ahead of the curve on this, then all things, I guess, are possible. We have not gotten ahead of it yet. We've made some strides, some positive strides, but we're not there yet. So we'll do the work and we'll figure out how it fits in against the criteria as we get a little further. We are going to look at those criteria all the time.
Okay, the next question comes from News 12. They would like to know, the governor keeps mentioning that there are COVID-only overflow facilities that can take positive nursing home patients. Are you aware of any in Westchester County, and could the county center ever consider being one of these?
Well, again, keep in mind that the State Department of Health controls the county center and its usage now. We own the building, we're the landlords, they're the tenants, they're in, and we can't go in the tenant's apartment to find out what's going on. The state is directing through their healthcare folks how they want to use the county center. If they choose to use it for targeted COVID patients, so be it. We'll need to know that, obviously, and be informed of it. And we'll certainly share what we can publicly with and the press in this format. It'll depend on how the state wants to handle that. But from my perspective, we're viewing that the county center has been turned over to the state while we go through the pandemic. And even if we had taken it back for normal purposes, you're not going to have any sporting events or exhibits that are going to profitably fill up the building anyway right now. So let it be used in a positive light, and then we'll see where this all stretches out as we go forward.
That was the last question.
Very good. Well, if there are other questions, you're welcome to call us offline. You know how to reach Catherine Chaffee, our Director of Communication, whose voice you just heard, and we'll try to get back to you, give you as much information as you need. In the meantime, have a good day, stay safe. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock for another one of our Facebook Live COVID conversations. I'm George Latimer. Have a good day.